Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be looking at the evolving language landscape of Morocco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a very interesting topic.
it is. And, imagine a country where, like, the language you speak determines your access to education,
Right.
your job opportunities, even just your place in, like, society.
Uh-huh.
That's the reality in Morocco right now. We're going
Wow.
to be exploring the relationship between French and English in Morocco and what it says about the country's path.
It's really a fascinating case study in how, like, globalization
Right.
and technology reshape cultures and how, like, nations
Yeah.
have to balance tradition and progress.
Exactly.
And language is at the heart of that struggle.
It really is.
Yeah.
To understand this, we need some historical context.
Yeah. So Morocco's relationship with French dates back to the colonial period from 1912 to 1956.
Okay.
French became the language of administration, education, and the elite. And it just became deeply embedded in Moroccan society.
Yeah.
Even after independence, French maintained a strong presence, especially in higher education and technical fields like engineering and medicine.
Right.
This historical context is key to understanding why French remains so prevalent even today.
It's remarkable how language can have such staying power, but I've read that things are starting to shift.
Yeah.
There's a growing preference for English, especially among younger generations.
Absolutely. A 2024 survey revealed that over 70% of young Moroccans believe English should be the primary second language,
Wow.
surpassing French.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
What's driving this shift? Is it purely about economics and jobs?
Well, globalization is certainly a major factor. English is increasingly seen as the language of international business technology, higher education.
Mm-hmm.
Moroccan youth recognize that proficiency in English opens doors to opportunities on a global scale.
Right.
But it goes beyond just economics.
Okay, so what else is at play here?
Well, consider the rise of the internet and social media. These platforms are predominantly English-based and have exposed young Moroccans to a wider world of information and cultural exchange.
Yay.
Fostering a desire to engage with global communities, English for them represents a form of social and cultural capital.
So it's not just about getting a better job, it's about being part of a global conversation.
Precisely.
Right.
And this shift in language preference has real-world implications.
Okay.
The Moroccan government has set a target to make English the main language for science instruction in schools and universities.
Wow, that's a bold move.
Yeah.
Are there specific government initiatives in place to support this transition?
Yes, they've launched several programs.
Okay.
One focuses on training teachers in English proficiency,
Uh-huh.
particularly in STEM fields. Another involves developing new English language curricula and teaching materials aligned with international standards.
Right.
They've also established partnerships with international organizations to provide English language training and resources.
That's impressive. It sounds like they're really committed to this shift. But these initiatives must also come with their fair share of challenges.
Indeed, one major challenge is ensuring equitable access to English language education.
Yeah.
There's a risk of exacerbating the existing urban-rural divide,
Right.
where urban areas tend to have better access to resources and qualified teachers. Bridging this gap is crucial
I see.
to ensure that all Moroccans, regardless of location, have the opportunity to benefit from this language shift.
That raises another concern. What about the potential impact on Morocco's cultural identity?
Yeah.
Won't this push towards English threaten the rich linguistic and cultural heritage of the country, particularly the Berber languages spoken by a significant portion of the population?
It's a valid concern. The Berber languages represent a vital part of Moroccan culture and identity.
Yeah.
The challenge for Morocco lies in finding a way to integrate English without marginalizing these languages or diminishing their cultural significance.
Mm-hmm.
It's about fostering a multilingual environment where all languages can coexist and thrive.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Morocco is at a crossroads grappling with how to position itself in a globalized world
Yeah.
while also preserving its unique cultural heritage.
Exactly. And this tension between global aspirations and local identities is playing out in the language landscape.
It makes you wonder what the long-term consequences of this shift will be. Will French eventually fade away, or will Morocco manage to maintain a complex multilingual system?
That's a question we'll delve into further as we explore other examples from around the world. But before we do, I'm curious what stands out to you so far. What's piqued your interest about this linguistic tug of war in Morocco?
Honestly, I'm struck by the speed and scale of this shift in language preference. It's remarkable how quickly globalization can reshape cultural attitudes and priorities.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if this is just the tip of the iceberg. Are
Okay.
similar transformations happening in other parts of the world?
They absolutely are. And that brings us to our next stop on this linguistic journey. We're going to explore how other countries are navigating these same challenges, starting with a fascinating case study from Asia.
Okay, let's dive in. I'm eager to hear more. You mentioned other countries facing similar linguistic shifts.
Right.
Where are we headed next?
Let's journey to Singapore, a nation known for its incredible cultural diversity and remarkable economic success.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Singapore embraces a multilingual approach, but I'm curious to learn more about how it works in practice.
Well, Singapore has adopted a unique system where English serves as the primary language of administration and education.
Uh-huh.
However, they also recognize three other official languages, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil, reflecting the major ethnic groups within the country.
So it's like they're intentionally weaving a tapestry of cultures through language.
Right.
But how do they manage such linguistic complexity, especially in education?
It's a deliberate strategy aimed at fostering both national unity and cultural preservation. In schools, children learn English plus their mother tongue,
Right.
which could be Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil.
I see.
This approach ensures they can communicate effectively across ethnicities while maintaining a connection to their heritage.
It's fascinating how language can be used as a tool for social cohesion. But does this multilingual approach ever create practical challenges? I imagine it must be quite demanding for students to master multiple languages.
You're right, it does require significant effort from students and educators alike.
Yeah.
However, the benefits seem to outweigh the challenges. Singapore boasts a highly educated workforce, and its multilingualism is seen as a key asset in its economic success, particularly in attracting international business and fostering global trade.
So they've managed to turn a potential challenge into a strategic advantage.
Right.
It really challenges the notion that a single dominant language is essential for success in a globalized world.
Precisely. Singapore demonstrates the power of embracing linguistic diversity. It allows them to tap into a wider pool of talent, connect with diverse markets, and navigate the complexities of a globalized world with ease.
It's a compelling example of how thoughtful language policies can shape a nation's trajectory. Now, you mentioned another fascinating case in Africa.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what's happening in Rwanda.
Rwanda presents a unique and poignant case. Following the devastating genocide in 1994, the country made a bold decision to shift the language of education from French to English.
Wow, that's a significant shift.
Yeah.
What factors led to this decision?
It was a complex decision driven by a confluence of factors.
Okay.
Part of it was a desire to distance themselves from the legacy of colonialism and the role French played in the country's painful history.
Right.
But it was also a pragmatic move aimed at positioning Rwanda for economic growth and development in a globalized world where English had become increasingly dominant.
It sounds like language became a tool for both symbolic and practical change.
Exactly, and the results have been quite remarkable.
Wow.
Rwanda has made significant strides in areas like technology, tourism, and education.
Mm-hmm.
They've attracted foreign investment and positioned themselves as a regional hub for innovation.
So it seems like embracing English as a language of education and opportunity is a common thread in many of these countries, regardless of their unique histories and cultural contexts.
You're observing a key trend. It speaks to the growing recognition of English's role in facilitating global communication, access to information, and participation in a globalized economy.
Right.
However, it's crucial to remember that each country approaches this shift in its own way, navigating the delicate balance between global aspirations and local identities.
That balance is key, isn't it? It's not about erasing existing languages and cultures, but finding ways to integrate them with the demands of a globalized world.
Precisely. And that brings us to a crucial question.
Hmm.
With the rise of English as a global language, is there a risk of other languages fading away, leading to a loss of cultural diversity?
It's a valid concern. What can be done to mitigate this risk and ensure the preservation of linguistic diversity?
There are several promising initiatives underway.
Okay.
Organizations around the world are working to document endangered languages, develop language learning resources, and promote language revitalization programs within communities.
Right.
Technology is also playing a role, with digital platforms being used to create dictionaries, archive oral histories, and connect language learners with native speakers.
It's encouraging to hear that there are efforts to counterbalance the homogenizing forces of globalization.
Yeah,
But what about the impact of technology itself? Isn't it a double-edged sword, both spreading English and potentially contributing to the decline of other languages?
that's an insightful observation. The internet and social media dominated by English certainly accelerate the spread of the language. But technology can also be a powerful tool for language preservation.
Right.
Digital platforms provide new avenues for documenting teaching and revitalizing languages.
So it all comes down to how we use technology. We have the power to choose whether it becomes a force for homogenization or a tool for diversity.
Exactly. And that brings us to a critical point that often gets overlooked in discussions about language, the issue of power.
Power. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The languages we speak, the ways we communicate, they all influence our access to information opportunities and even our sense of belonging in a world where English often holds the key to success. Those who don't speak it fluently can face significant disadvantages.
That's a sobering thought. It highlights the inherent power dynamics embedded in language.
Precisely, and this underscores the need to be mindful of these dynamics and to promote linguistic justice and inclusion.
Right.
We need to ensure that everyone, regardless of their native language, has the opportunity to learn, thrive, and participate fully in society.
It's a reminder that language isn't just about words, it's about equity, access, and opportunity. This discussion has given me a lot to think about. It's clear that the global rise of English is reshaping the linguistic landscape in profound ways, creating both opportunities and challenges.
You've captured the essence of it, and as we move into our final segment, we'll delve deeper into the complex interplay between language and identity.
Okay.
We'll explore how the languages we speak shape our sense of self, our connection to communities, and our understanding of the world around us.
That sounds fascinating. I'm ready to dive in. We've covered a lot of ground, from the linguistic shifts happening in Morocco to the global influence of English. Now, I want to shift gears and explore the more personal side of this discussion, the connection between language and identity.
Yeah, that's a fascinating area to explore. It takes us to the core of how language shapes our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
It's almost as if language acts as a filter through which we perceive reality, right?
Precisely the words we use, the grammar we follow, the idioms we embrace, they all influence our perceptions, emotions, and even our thought processes.
So could speaking a particular language actually shape how we see ourselves?
Absolutely. Take, for instance, the experience of bilingual or multilingual individuals.
Right.
Many report feeling like different versions of themselves when they switch between languages.
Interesting.
One language might evoke feelings of confidence and assertiveness, while another might trigger a sense of nostalgia or introversion.
It's fascinating how language can hold such emotional weight and influence our sense of self.
It speaks to the fluidity of identity. Our sense of self isn't fixed. It's dynamic and can be shaped by the languages we speak and the cultural context in which we use them.
This makes me think about the role of language in communities. A shared language seems to be a powerful force in creating a sense of belonging.
You've hit a crucial point. Language acts as a social glue, binding communities together through shared symbols, meanings, and cultural references. When we speak the same language, we tap into a collective understanding of the world, a shared history, and a set of values.
It's like having access to a secret code that unlocks a whole world of shared experiences and perspectives.
Exactly. Think about the power of dialects. Even within a single language, variations in pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar can signal membership in a particular region, social group, or even generation.
It's fascinating how those subtle linguistic variations can carry so much social meaning, but it also makes me wonder about the potential for exclusion. Can language also be used to create barriers between groups?
Absolutely. While a shared language can foster a sense of unity, it can also be used to draw boundaries and exclude those who don't speak the dominant language. This reinforces the power dynamics we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, it reminds us that language can be both a bridge and a barrier, a tool for inclusion and exclusion depending on the context.
Exactly, and this brings us back to the broader conversation about linguistic justice. We need to be mindful of these power dynamics and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to learn and use the languages they need to thrive in society.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've explored the complex relationship between language and culture, examined the global rise of English, and delved into the profound connection between language and identity.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it? The key takeaway, I think, is that language is much more than just a means of communication. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human. It shapes our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and ultimately our place in the world.
You've articulated that beautifully, listeners. As we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to think about your own relationship with language. How has it shaped your identity, your experiences, and your understanding of the world?
And perhaps this exploration has sparked a desire to learn a new language, delves into the history of your native tongue, or simply appreciate the incredible diversity of languages that exist on our planet.
Until next time, keep those linguistic gears turning.